Say hi to the camera. She's just chilling. Hello everyone, welcome back to another video where I do whatever the frick I want. How are you? Millie wants to go down now. She'll just chill next to me. Hello, how's it going? I already asked that, okay. Today's video was actually suggested by my dad. So, Dad, if you're watching this, thank you for the idea, I appreciate it. As most of you guys know, if you've been watching my channel for a while now, I've been traveling for a little over a year full time, and I've gone to a lot of different places in the United States. I'm just gonna go over a list of all the states that I've been to, and some of the worst and best places in each state. It's gonna get juicy, guys. So that's what this video is gonna be. Without further ado, let's just get into it. Before my trip, I decided that I wanted to collect a rock from each state so that by the time I've gone to all 50 states, I'll be able to hold the rocks in my hand and say I'm holding the United States. So as I go through the states that I've been through, I'll show you the rocks that I've collected from each state. So I got my van that I've been traveling in July of 2019. My plan was to leave for my trip on January 4th, 2020. So I had about 6 months to get the van ready, renovate some things. I added some things like the solar panels, fixed some stuff that needed to be done before I left. So that took a few months. So the first place that I went to was North Carolina. So I stayed in Surf City, even though it was January. I just looked for shells on the beach while it was like 30 degrees outside and really windy because it was by the ocean. So it wasn't the most pleasant experience. Since I didn't have a shower in my van, I took showers in those beach showers where you can just like rinse off sand and stuff. So that was super classy. This was before I got my Planet Fitness membership, so I was roughing it a little bit. So North Carolina wasn't that eventful. I only stayed there for about a week, and I got this little shell from North Carolina. Then I went down to South Carolina. I visited my Nana, who I hadn't seen in like 10 years, so that was really nice to get to visit her. I went on my first helicopter ride, which was amazing, even though it was like 5 minutes long. It was $20. I couldn't pass it up. I saw billboards, and I was like, I need to do that. And the best thing that happened in South Carolina was that I found Millie. I adopted her there in Myrtle Beach. So next is Georgia. Georgia was a very interesting place, let's just say that. It was so beautiful, I've never seen anywhere like it. There's Spanish moss everywhere and it just like dangles from the power lines, from the trees. It is so beautiful. So as a state, it is very, very pretty. But when I was in Savannah, Georgia, the people were really rude. Like when I go to the store, just the cashiers weren't very nice. People would give you rude looks on the road. There was some road rage, definitely. People just really weren't nice, specifically in Savannah, Georgia. The rest of Georgia, I really liked, honestly. I didn't collect a rock for Georgia. I forgot to, so that's unfortunate. The next is Florida. I stayed there for a while. I stayed there for about a month. I went from Jacksonville to Tallahassee, so I didn't go to southern Florida, like Miami or anything like that. There wasn't really anything special about Florida. There's not really much to see there. I went to the beaches, but it was too cold. I also didn't collect a rock from Florida, so that sucks. Alabama and Mississippi. I just drove straight through them. I'm sorry. I did, because I wanted to get to Louisiana as fast as possible because I wanted to see my cousin. So that takes us to Louisiana. My cousin lived near New Orleans. When I was there, I said New Orleans and people came after me, so I don't know if I'm pronouncing it correctly, but New Orleans. I'm trying. I thought New Orleans was really cool. I liked walking around. Everything is so old. I think there was a season of American Horror Story that was filmed there. I'm not quite sure, but I'm pretty sure I saw that house. I was there for Mardi Gras, so I was there in March. I went to one of like the children's versions of Mardi Gras. That's just what my cousin took me to. I posted a picture on my story of me wearing like a bunch of beads, and I was not aware of like what happens at Mardi Gras. I don't know. It was just so embarrassing. People were asking me if I like stripped, so that was really nice. So just to clarify, no, it was a children's Mardi Gras where they threw out like candy. But it was really fun. I enjoyed it. I liked Louisiana overall. I thought it was really pretty. Once again, it had some of the moss that was in South Carolina. The people that I came in contact with and talked to, extremely nice. So I had a really good experience in Louisiana. I liked it a lot. I looked everywhere for an alligator or crocodile, whichever one lives there. Did not find one, so I was kind of disappointed. I also don't have a rock for Louisiana. During this part of my trip, I was obviously distracted. Texas. Okay, that's all I have to say. Just kidding. Texas was okay. I went through Houston, Dallas. I really liked Austin. Houston and Dallas, I just kind of stayed in like Planet Fitness parking lots. But I really liked Austin because that's more like outdoorsy kind of stuff. There's a lot of hiking and stuff like that. So I really enjoyed it. People there, and specifically Austin, were really nice. Yeah, I don't really have much to say about Texas. I feel like a beauty guru. Here's my rock from Texas. Oh wait, I think it's upside down. Here's my rock from Texas. Arizona. I have so much to talk about when it comes to Arizona. When I first arrived here, it was March 20th, so it was starting to get warm. I stayed with my sister for about like a week and a half. I hadn't seen her in years, so that was really nice to be able to visit her. I went on some really cool hikes with Millie. This was the first time that I was in a really mountainous area where I could like climb things and go rock climbing. So that was just a really cool first time experience, being able to go like rock climbing. Arizona was the first place where I actually found BLM land, which if you don't know what that is, it's Bureau of Land Management. It's basically just a piece of land that the government sets aside for recreation for us people who live in the country. So when you see people camping like in the middle of literally nowhere, that's where they are. Most likely is just on BLM land. So I was really excited to actually go camping in the wild, not just like in a Walmart parking lot or Planet Fitness. On the East Coast, there really isn't a lot of BLM land. So that's why I don't really have much to say about camping on the East Coast, because I was just staying in parking lots. I gotta say, I'm sorry if you're from Arizona, the people here are quite rude. I've met nice people, obviously. I swear to goodness gracious, there are so many Karens, but also my car was having issues on the side of the road and someone pulled over and helped me. So, I mean, there are obviously nice people, but I would just say like 75% aren't very nice. This is my Arizona rock. Utah. I went to Utah around April, and this is when COVID was getting quite serious. They were talking about shutting down borders between states, so I wanted to make sure I wouldn't be trapped somewhere without like a permanent place to live. So I ended up getting an Airbnb in Utah for a month. It was in Kanab. It's on the border of Arizona and Utah, so I could drive 10 minutes and be in Arizona. In fact, my grocery store that I went to was in Arizona, so like every 3 days I was driving to Arizona and then driving back to Utah. It was kind of cool, honestly. I went on the coolest hikes in Arizona. I went through these slot canyons. They were so cool and beautiful. I posted it to my Instagram and found out from you guys that they're very dangerous to walk in because they're formed by water like running down, and you could drown. You learn something new every day. I saw these really cool sand caves that are just carved out from the wind, and you can walk through them. It was the coolest thing ever. You just have to like climb up. One of my followers ended up DMing me on Instagram saying that they lived in the area and invited me to go kayaking with them. So that was really cool. I went with him and some of his friends. I went to Bridal Veil Falls. So I saw these people that were climbing up like the side of the waterfall, and it looked steep from where I was, but I was like, if they can do it, then I can do it. Of course. No, Ethan, do not do it. That was a terrible idea. Once I was like halfway up, the rocks were like crumbling under my feet. It was just like these little rocks, so I'd like hold onto one and it would start rolling down, then I'd hold onto another one and that one would start rolling down. It was terrifying. The only thing that saved me, honestly, was this root of a tree that I was holding on to. It was like crunchy and it was breaking. If I could go back and tell myself not to do something on this trip, that would be it. But I got some really cool footage and cool pictures, so it still wasn't worth the risk though. While I was in Utah, I camped on this cliff that was in BLM land. It was absolutely beautiful, and I ended up hiking down and finding out that there was a cave under where I was camped, and I went and explored that. It was just really cool overall. This next story people don't believe, but I swear to goodness freaking gracious it happened. Don't believe me, it's fine. I was in Price, Utah. I was camping with my friend, so I have a witness. We were just camping on BLM land in the middle of nowhere. We were outside projecting a movie on the side of my van, and all of a sudden, I shiz you not, I can't cuss on this because I don't want YouTube to get mad at me. I shiz you not. Look at me. Okay? A ball of light flew past us, just like cruising, like it had somewhere to be. It was not taking any time. It just right past us, and I was like, did you see that? Because I thought maybe I was like going crazy or something. And they were like, yeah, I saw that. And they thought that they were going crazy as well. And I was like, well, the chances of both of us going crazy at the same time are very slim. I think we saw it. But then, about a half hour later, after we like kind of forgot about it, it flew back. It did. So that was really interesting. So overall, I really liked Utah. The people there are pretty nice. There's plenty of places to camp in BLM land, literally everywhere. I also visited the salt flats while I was in Utah, which was really cool. I got some amazing pictures. I have a whole video on that if you're interested. And I got to swim with sea monkeys. Coolest experience, because I used to have sea monkeys when I was little, and I was always mesmerized by them. I thought they were amazing. This is my rock for Utah. It's just a bunch of crystals that I found when I was on a hike, so I thought it was really cool. The next state that I went to was Colorado. When I was in Utah, I met this really nice lady at the dog park. I told her that I was going to Colorado next, and she told me a bunch of places that I should visit, but the one specific place that she told me that I should visit was Ouray, so I added that to my list, and I'm so glad she told me to go through there because it was beautiful. She told me this, I'm not exactly sure if this is true, but there's a highway that goes through Ouray up the mountains, and it's called the $1 Million Highway. And she told me that it's called the $1 Million Highway because it is so beautiful. And she said because it's so beautiful, a lot of people die. Sorry, that was a little abrupt the way I said that. Because people just get distracted looking at the mountains and stuff, and you're driving on the side of a cliff, and then you just kind of rear over a little bit, and then you plummet. So yeah, it is really beautiful, I can tell you that much. So I camped there. It was amazing. I loved my camping spot that I found. I stayed there for about 2 weeks, but while I was there, my van ended up breaking down. I was driving down the road to go fill up my water tank, and there was a truck driving in front of me, and in the bed of the truck, they had like a bunch of branches and stuff, and one of the branches just fell out into the road, and there was a car coming my way, so I couldn't like swerve around it, and I was forced to run over the branch, and it ended up ripping off my water pump when I drove over it. I don't even know if that's possible, but within like a minute after that happened, my van started overheating a lot, so I pulled over, went outside, and it was just leaking a lot of fluid. I don't know much about cars, but it was leaking something. I know that's not good. I got it taken care of. I had to stay in a cabin for 3 days, I think. That was an interesting experience because I didn't have any mode of transportation now. And this cabin was kind of in the middle of nowhere. So I just lived off of pizza because that's the only thing that would deliver to where I was. But other than that happening to my van, I absolutely loved Ouray. By my campsite, there was a river that went through, and in the river, people were panning for gold. So I thought it was really cool that you could just go there and find gold. Once I was done in Ouray, I went to Gunnison, Colorado, which is one of my other favorite places, specifically Hartman Rock Recreation Area. It's just these big boulders that you can just like climb up. There's just a lot of rock climbing. It was really, really cool. Another place I stayed in Gunnison, Colorado, I camped on some BLM land that was just like fields, and to my surprise, I woke up to a cow rubbing itself on my van. So I was laying there and I was like, why is the van rocking right now? Looked out my window and there's just like a cow going like that, scratching itself on my van. So that was a cool surprise. I was very happy to see some cows because I love cows. They're so cute. This is my rock from Colorado. Next state is Wyoming. Gotta love Wyoming. Before I went there, I was like, isn't Wyoming just like nothing, like in the middle of nowhere? To my past self, yes, but also it's a lot of mountains, beautiful flowers everywhere, pastures. It's amazing. I didn't stay in Wyoming for very long. I got there in July, but for some reason I just had in my mind that I needed to get back down south before winter time. So I was trying to get like these more northern states just done, which I kind of regret. I wish I stayed there longer. When I was in Wyoming, I went to some hot springs. They were amazing. They smelled really bad, but they were amazing. I visited Yellowstone. I loved it. I camped in Yellowstone. I don't know if that's allowed, but I did for 2 nights. The first night I just stayed in like this little designated camping area, so it wasn't anything too spectacular. The second night I got to camp in the woods off the road because while I was driving, I saw these marks in the grass where someone had driven back into the woods, so I was like, you know what, I think I can do that too. Let's see. I took a leap of faith and decided that I was going to do it. So I drove back there and I found a fire ring in the woods. This is my, okay, you can do it, Ethan, signal. If I find a fire ring somewhere, then I know I can camp there, or at least I assume. So I found one and I was like, yep, we're camping here. So I camped in the middle of the woods in Yellowstone by this huge mountain, and once again I woke up to cows. It's the best surprise ever when you wake up to cows. But yeah, once again, I have a whole video on that if you want to see it. This rock is specifically from Yellowstone, that's why it has YS on it. The next state that I went to was Montana, and I was there in August. I didn't really stay there for that long, honestly. But while I was there, I did film that video where I went up into the mountains in like the middle of nowhere, once again, and I built this like little hut thing out of sticks and flowers that I found and a little bit of rope. Yeah, it was pretty glamorous. I have a video on it once again. I filmed all of these things, so you guys probably know what I'm talking about. I visited Glacier National Park while I was there, but they told me that my van was too long to drive through the park, so I literally just went into the parking lot after paying and then left. The next state that I visited was Washington, which is probably one of my top 3 favorite places that I've been. I'd have to say my top 3 are probably Washington, Colorado, and Wyoming. But Washington was so freaking cool, guys. I've never personally been in an area that's so like diverse, I guess. It has rainforests, it has, I think, deserts, it has beaches, it has freaking everything, mountains, it has everything you can freaking think of. I went to the Hoh Rainforest, which was really, really cool. I camped there, I have a video on it once again. I swam in Lake Cushman, which is absolutely beautiful. That lake is the clearest lake I've ever seen in my life, in the middle of the mountains. Oh my gosh, if I could be there right now, I would do anything for that. Okay. While I was in the rainforest, I met this really nice group of people. One of them recognized me from my YouTube channel, and they offered for me to go on a hike with them, so I was like, let's do it, let's go on a hike. So cool, I'm so glad that I met them. I'm still in contact with them, but it was so cool making friends, and we had a great day. They were just really nice people. I went up to Port Angeles, and from there, when you look across the ocean, you can see Canada, so it's really close. While I was in Port Angeles, I visited some tide pools. The tide pools were really cool. There were little hermit crabs just like running everywhere. I love hermit crabs so much. There were sea anemones, which I've never seen a sea anemone in my life, and I was so confused what it was. I poked it with a stick, and then it squirted at me, so I was like, okay, I'm not messing with this thing anymore. I'm sorry. Like, I thought it was a plant. I was so confused. It was like meeting an alien or something. And then I decided to go to the Quinault rainforest as I was passing through it because there was a highway that went through or something like that. I can't remember. And while I was in the rainforest, I got lost. I went on a hike and didn't have a map. It was not a good idea. My phone died. I was literally stranded. I cried. It was it's funny to laugh out now, but it was not a good time, guys, I promise. Washington was also a big deal for me because I left from Maryland, so that's the Atlantic Ocean, and Washington was the first state that I had made it to that was on the Pacific Ocean. So I went from one side of the country to the other, and it was a big deal for me. So I ended up visiting Ruby Beach, Washington, which is where I got this rock. And Ruby Beach was really pretty. It was like a jungle on the beach. There was like a rainforest, and then there's just like sand, and then the ocean. From Washington, I headed down the coast to Oregon. I saw Thor's Hole. No, oh my god, that sounds wrong. Okay. Thor's Well, that's what it's called. Okay, I'm sorry. It's this geyser that's on the ocean. So it's basically like a hole in a rock, and then when the ocean comes under it, it's like on a cliff. It shoots up through the rock so it looks like a geyser. This is my rock that I got from Oregon. My notes make so much sense. As you can see, it says I visited Mount me. That's where I visited. Then I headed down to California. This is where it gets really juicy, guys. I camped in the Redwood Forest National Park that was near Crescent City. I think it's like 30 miles from the border of Oregon, so it's technically Oregon. I really didn't make it to California. But my camping site there was so beautiful. Like I said, it was in the middle of the Redwood Forest, so there's huge trees everywhere. And I found this like little river that was down like a cliff. So I parked on the side of the cliff, walked down to see what was down there, and it was like this big pool of water with like a very slow moving river going through it. And I was like, this is the perfect spot. There was no one else there, not one person. I had this whole place to myself, and it was amazing. Millie and I went swimming. There were these big boulders that you could jump off of into the water, and the water was really deep. It was just so pretty and beautiful. It's probably my favorite campsite that I've ever stayed at. I stayed at that campsite for 2 days, and I planned on staying there for about a week, but on the third day, that morning, I woke up at like 4 o'clock in the morning to the smell of smoke. So I was like, oh goodness, that's not good, because I didn't have a fire the night before, so I knew it wasn't from me. There was no one else camped around me. So I go outside, and there's just smoke everywhere, and there's gusts of wind that are coming, and the gusts of wind feel like really warm. It's like nice warm air, and I was like, that's unusual, because it's not that warm outside right now, because it would be like cold and then a gust of wind would come and feel warm. So I was like, that's not good. And I connected the dots and realized that there was a forest fire happening really close to me. I'm laughing about it because it's traumatic, and I'm sure you guys remember this. This is when all of those fires broke out in California, Oregon, some in Idaho. It was really bad. Yeah, I was in that, like in the epicenter of it. I couldn't leave through California because all of the highways had forest fires on them. So I wasn't willing to drive through fire, so I ended up going back up through Oregon. Like I said, I was only like 30 miles from Oregon, but there were wildfires up there too. So I had to be careful and map everything out, and 1 minute I'd be checking and there wouldn't be a wildfire on this road. 30 minutes later, it's already burning down. Can't drive down it and it's closed. So it was like a maze trying to figure out what roads to go down in order to get all the way to Colorado, because I wanted to be as far away as possible. I have 2 videos on that if you're interested in watching the whole process. But yeah, it was definitely an interesting experience. It was terrifying. I literally thought I was gonna like die or something. Like, it's pretty scary, honestly, I'm not gonna lie. I remember it was like 4 in the afternoon and the sky was pitch black because all of the smoke, you could not see the sky, but it was like an orange hue from the fire. I passed through this one town because I needed to get gas. I was almost out, and all of the power in the entire town was out. They were running the gas pumps off of a generator that they had. While I was at the gas station, I asked one of the employees what was going on, and he told me about the generator and how they only had enough gas for like another 6 hours of running the generator, and after that, I guess you're screwed, you can't get gas. But long story short, I made it to Idaho on my way to Colorado. Once I hit Idaho, the forest fires kind of stopped. There were more forest fires on the western side of Idaho, but I was more on the eastern side, so I kind of chilled there for a couple of days. While I was in Idaho, I visited this box canyon, and it was so freaking beautiful. It was just like this river that went through, and I ended up finding this big pool of water, kind of like in California. It was so beautiful. There were these little sucker fish. I've only had them in my aquarium. I don't know why, but I never thought of like where they live naturally. Well, apparently they're native to Idaho. I don't know, maybe someone put them in there and they like had babies or something, I don't know. So this is the rock that I got from Idaho. It's a lava rock, which I thought was pretty cool. But I didn't stay in Idaho for long, so after that I left. By this point it was around like November, so it was starting to get cold up north, so I decided to head back down to Arizona, and it's getting really hot because this is not the time of year to be in Arizona. During the winter, it's beautiful though. So now I'm sure you guys are asking where I'm going next. I'm planning on going to Alaska. Obviously, I can't just teleport there, so I need to drive up. I think that I'm gonna go through Utah, Colorado, Wyoming, and then Montana. I wanna go back to Yellowstone, and I'm gonna be meeting my parents there. They're gonna fly from Maryland and meet me at Yellowstone, and we're gonna spend a weekend there. So I'm really excited to see them. And then from there, if Canada is open, then I'm gonna drive through up to Alaska. But if they aren't open because of COVID, I think that I'm just gonna ship my RV all the way up to Alaska and then just fly. But either way, I really wanna go to Alaska, so. And then I'm just gonna travel around, film it, find cool places to share with you guys. I'm leaving it open, I don't really know what to expect. So get ready for more adventure videos, there's plenty coming. And if you've been wondering why like the past couple months there haven't been many adventure videos, that would be because I've been just chilling in Arizona, not really doing anything. But I plan to be in Alaska by June, and I'll be there for 3 months, so June, July, August, which apparently are the best months to be there. So get ready for more camping videos, more adventure videos. I'm extremely excited. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I think I've gone over everything. If you guys have any more questions, leave them down below, and I will answer them, I'll respond. But yeah. Soon, I hope to have all of the rocks of the United States just so that I can say I'm holding the United States. But yeah, I think that's all I have to say. I hope you guys have a great rest of your day, night, whatever time it is when this video reaches you. Bye-bye, I'll see you in my next video. Peace out. By the way, I think my next video should be an adventure video, I'm not quite sure. We're gonna go camping. I'm so excited to go camping and go swimming in random lakes where there might be animals that can harm me, but I don't know because I don't do enough research and then I just swim anyway. Living on the edge. Living on the edge. Okay, bye. Before I go, I would just like to say a big thank you to everyone who supports the channel on Patreon. Because of you guys, I'm able to continue making content and Millie gets extra cookies. So thank you guys so very much for all of your support. And an extra special thank you goes to Scott Ashley Smith, Michael Posh, Scott Sweaters, It's Me, Paul Carpenter, Bobby Laglisi, Britt Saunders, Johan Gittens, Jordan Vajda, and Duncan Stewart Cumming. Once again, thank you guys so very much. If you'd like to join, all the information is down below. But I think that's all I have to say. Peace out. I'll see you in my next video.